Who loves a good streaming? I'll tell you who doesn't love a good streaming. Vince fucking McMahon is at it again. So, according to Wrestling Inc.'s exclusive article, Vince McMahon has threatened to punish talent engaging with third parties. As the article says, Vince McMahon issued an edict, more like Egypt, this past week that talent can no longer engage with outside third parties, which would presumably include platforms like Cameo and Twitch. WWE held a call with talent last Sunday regarding the reinvention of the product. During the call, it was said that WWE owns the real names of talent, not just their character names. McMahon, excuse me. McMahon followed up by sending a letter on Thursday. McMahon wrote that it was imperative that they promote and protect the brand in every conceivable way, and that talent have 30 days to stop engaging with third parties. This is a direct quotation from the article. Some of you are engaged with outside third parties using your name and likeness in ways that are detrimental to our company, said Vince McMahon. It is imperative that these activities be terminated within the next 30 days by Friday, October the 2nd. Continued violations will result in fines, suspension, or termination at WWE's discretion. McMahon wrote that these actions are necessary as part of WWE's rebuilding process as they enter the next phase of growth at WWE. So basically, big old Vinnie Mac has got his grapefruits out. He's been talking to his lawyers, and he's decided that he finds it unacceptable that wrestlers are trying to essentially make coin outside of their contracts. Now, it should be pointed out as well that one of the major reasons why a lot of these wrestlers are streaming, using services like Twitch and Cameo, is because there isn't as much revenue coming in. Obviously, with the coronavirus in place as it is, with the lockdown, with the pretty strict rules now in terms of social distancing and guidelines, that means that there is no live events. You know, there is a very limited amount of fans coming in. That only seems to be on AEW's end, which we're going to discuss in a moment. So what is essentially happening here is WWE wrestlers are using their initiative, using their brands to try and promote themselves. And not only that, you know, just make their lives a little bit easier, because shock horror, WWE doesn't pay these guys nearly as well as you think. Obviously, guys like Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, the champions, the more prominent guys, they do get paid well. We know this. But you cannot tell me that an individual like Dakota Kai, for instance, who spends a large amount of time streaming on Twitch, and it should be pointed out as well, donates all of the earnings she makes from those to charity, which makes this even more seedy. You know, the reality is someone like her isn't going to get paid as much as some of the top dogs. She's just not, particularly as pay-per-view money, revenue from that. You know, it's all kind of being strangleholded. And WWE hasn't exactly covered itself in joy and glorious light with all the terminations that happened earlier this year in the wake of the pandemic. So, Carl Wilkinson, I know you're big on Twitch. You watch Twitch a lot. Obviously, we're both avid gamers. We like to stream. We like to mess around with different mediums. We're both techie kind of guys. We're both geeks. We're both nerds. This has to irk you.
Does this also include YouTube? Just out of curiosity.
There is no... What pisses me off about this whole statement is it's deliberately vague. All he said is third parties. At no point has he mentioned any particular companies. What it'll be is he will make judgments based on who's making money and who's not. For instance, an individual like AJ Styles, who's more than likely making, you know, a decent amount of time, or at least getting a lot of traction via his Twitch stream, he's more likely to target things like that. I know it sounds incredibly cynical, but I believe that Vince McMahon and WWE as a whole are only going to target people who are, you know, benefiting from these third-party scenarios.
Okay. So I was
Get
just thinking about like up, down, down, but...
No, okay. Because Up, Down, Down is branded now by WWE. Have you noticed they've even got Up, Down, Down channel? Yes, it is. Yeah, like I do believe that the majority of the rights are retained by Xavier Woods, but I also know that WWE has got their filthy mitts on it. As soon as it passed 1 million subscribers on YouTube, all of a sudden they took interest in that, didn't they? Because money.
Yeah, but they didn't take interest in Zack Ryder in like 2011. Jesus
Funny,
Christ. That. Isn't it though? Okay, yeah,
so the irony of this whole thing.
So, I mean, I could go on a huge rant about how this is ridiculous, but I mean, honestly, you can just say, you know, 3 words, which would just be fuck you, Vince. These guys and girls have been trying to, I'm not going to say make ends meet. They're not living paycheck to paycheck, I would hope. I hope they're making, decent enough money that they can, still pay their bills and all that kind of stuff. But they're doing this as another outlet. They're not traveling around the world. They're not doing house shows 300 days a year, 350 days a year. I don't know. I just assumed the schedule was stupid. So they're doing stuff to fill the time, fill the void. They're doing things that they're passionate about. Like Adam Cole's Twitch channel, as far as I know, is fucking huge. And he has so much fun on Twitch. Like, just trying to think of all the people I've heard on Twitch. Like you said, Dakota Kai, Mia Yim, and both of them donate a lot to charity whenever they get donations and stuff. AJ Styles. Who else is on Twitch? That's all I can think of off the top of my head. But that's still... Oh, Zelina Vega. She's really big on Twitch as well. And they're doing things that they love and they're passionate about. And Vince is like, oh, you like doing this? Oh, no. And he's just taking that away from him. And that's just petty. He doesn't understand that it still brings more eyes to his employees, in air quotes, because let's remember, everyone, WWE contracted wrestlers are independent contractors. And they have their entire lives controlled. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't come up with that. I saw Gail Kim say it on Twitter, and I'll give her full credit for that. But it's 100% true. These people, they just have their entire lives controlled by this, 82-year-old man that doesn't understand what a computer is. That doesn't understand video games. The man understands sleeping for 3 hours, somehow being on the cover of Muscle and Fitness at 74, and making really bad TV. I'm not going to tell Vince to step down or fuck off because, well, actually I already did fuck off. I'm not going to tell him to step down because we all know the only time he'll step down is when he's dead. I think that's just guaranteed that he is never going to leave until the day he dies. And he'll just always have control over everyone in his employ. And it's not acceptable anymore. These guys and girls just want to have fun. They want to interact more with people because they're not, like I said, they're not at live shows. And streaming on Twitch is such an easy way to interact with anyone because you see your chat, it's going all the time. You can just have conversations with people. It's fantastic. Like you said, I'm on Twitch all the time. I watch so many streamers. And just the way they interact with their chat, it's so much more personable. And now Vince is taking that away. He's taking away another way for the fans to interact with their favorite superstar. If they're available, of course. And it's not fair to us as fans that watch. It's not fair to them as streamers and just human beings that like to play video games and show other people how cool games are. It's messed up, bro. And I need to hear what you think about it.
Right now, we're in the midst of a very difficult time. Anyone who's kind of living, for instance, America and England in particular are suffering with this, but I know the whole world is. There's clearly a lot of disgusting foul play at work. Higher authorities, people in positions of power, people who have the money are flexing themselves. They are brutally trying to snuff out independent business, small business. I have made it very clear on my social media that, frankly, I am not going to bow down to a load of governmental Nazis, people like the Conservative Party, people like Donald Trump. I am very open and honest about that. If you support those kind of fucking useless, totalitarian dictatorship cuntbags, you know what? Congratulations, because what you are doing is essentially adding to the woes and the misery and the things that are going to continue under these regimes. And this is a microcosm of that. Do I have a problem with Vince McMahon as a business owner saying, I want you guys to represent my brand correctly? Absolutely not. When you run a business, even as small as it is, for instance, Wrestle Plug, it's a tiny little brand. It doesn't make any money, let's be honest, but we have a good time. And when I put my stuff out, whether that be via graphics, podcasts, YouTube videos. I try my very best to ensure that not only does the content, line up with what I believe is credible, but also I make sure that people involved in it, people like Khan and stuff like that, I make sure they're having a good time, obviously, but I also want to make sure that they give me their very best, because I want you guys listening to have the best experience possible. That's because when I put Wrestle Plug on something, that is my name. People associate Wrestle Plug with me. They look at it and think, oh, that's Aaron Nix. That's his stuff. That's his work. We see him all the time. That's his graphics. And I really get a kick out of the fact that so many people say to me, like Ebenezer the Geezer, for instance, say, oh, mate, the graphics you did for the podcast were good. Yeah, because I have self-respect and I believe in my brand. So from that perspective, I don't have a problem. What I have a problem with is the fact that this is just fucking grade A nuclear hypocrisy. It's hysterical. You are out here saying, oh, we've got the Thunderdome. We want more interaction. WWE. Do you remember those fucking bullshit commercials? There is no WWE without you, the fans. Of course there fucking is. You're proving this day after day. Even the Thunderdome experience, right? This is all based around control. Yeah, we've got a Thunderdome now. Oh, you guys are all part of it. Oh, you won't be able to be heard though. And I would highly recommend, far be it for me to plug other podcasts as much as I do, but the one podcast I always tend to plug is The Hardest Part of the Ring. Now, one of their hardcore listeners, a guy called Carl Luckhurst, you can actually check him out on Twitter as well. He actually was part of the Payback, I believe, the Payback or the SummerSlam, was one or the other, but he was part of the Thunderdome experience for that. And he spoke in great detail, actually, very comprehensively, about the fact that although it was fun and it was his birthday weekend, and it was an opportunity to do something different, he is such a diehard wrestling fan, they spent the whole broadcast, oh, roll call, you must be available at this time. Then they start yelling at you, do not wear this, do not wear that, do not do this, do not do that. It's a list of rules. They can threaten to terminate you at any point. They can threaten to sue you at some points, depending on where you are in the world. It's all based around fear and control. At what point do we stop and say, fuck off, fuck you? The problem isn't necessarily that he wants people to represent his brand in the right way. The problem is that he is willing to shackle people and stranglehold them and squeeze every last little bit of blood out of the stone that he can until these people are so beaten, so demoralized that they just take it up the arse persistently without any resistance. And what does that speak volumes to? Let me think. Current society, governments, fear, propaganda, conspiracy theories. Doesn't matter what it is all designed to control. You are not allowed to have a voice. What this says to me is, I am not going to allow you cunts to dictate any part of your lives. Oh, so you work really hard for me, right? You put your bodies on the line every time you work, albeit on a lesser capacity because we don't have live events. Oh, you're not making quite as much money anymore. Oh, so you think it's okay to go on Twitch and associate more with your fan base, have a more personalized experience, do you? You want to sell cameos. You want to make money through Cameo by contacting fans and sending them lovely personalized messages, which I don't think compromise. This has got nothing to do with brand. This has got everything to do with Vince McMahon being a stupid fucking cunt. He has been a massive cunt for the better part of 40, 50 years, but only now do we seem to want to pick up on this. His behavior is fucking ridiculous. I would argue in some form or fashion that all these problems we've had recently, particularly with things like speaking out, Me Too movement, stuff like that, when it comes to the wrestling side of these things and the behavior that is rife, the toxic mentality of wrestling, that all stems from previous behavior. And Vince McMahon is one of the biggest offenders of that. He has created a culture where people are allowed to basically be scum. It's hilarious, isn't it? Oh, apparently one of my staff allegedly is a paedophile. Yeah, that doesn't bother me. But you going on Twitch is unacceptable. I don't care if you touch kids allegedly, but I swear to God, if you speak to them via a streaming channel, I'll string you up by your balls. Ridiculous behavior. So typical dictator McMahon. And at what point do you as a talent turn around? Like, surely some of these guys must have more than enough money to just say, fuck off, dickhead. Go fuck yourself. If I'm AJ Styles, right, I'm pretty sure he's set. And if I'm AJ Styles and Vince McMahon comes up to me and I'm in my early 40s and he says to me, hey, AJ, I see you got a Twitch stream. You're going to have to stop that shit. It's represented. I'd be like, do you know what, mate? Why don't you go fuck yourself, you wrinkly old sack bag? Because, frankly, you ain't gonna do jack shit. You're fucking old. If I hit you, you'll probably have a brain aneurysm. Or what are you gonna do? Send your fucking ridiculously dumb shit fucking son-in-law after me? Get fucked. I'd be more worried about Stephanie McMahon handing me my ass than Vince ever would. At some point, these wrestlers have to turn around and say, fuck you, Vince. If you're not going to allow us to have freedom of movement, freedom of expression in some way, we're going to fuck off elsewhere. Because don't tell me that AEW isn't going to be sitting there going, is that a good thing? Not necessarily. Do I want to see AEW stockpile ex-WWE talents? No. There's Impact that's available. There are other places available to these wrestlers. And I'm hoping that things like seeing, what have we seen? EC3, the Good Brothers, even smaller talents like Heath Slater, Kurt Hawkins, Matt Cardona.
Yeah, my boy.
You fuck off. He sucks. Anyway, but still, nonetheless, they've proven that you can go elsewhere and earn a paycheck. You can go elsewhere and make money. Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis will probably have the opportunity to do this as well. The Kanellis family,
Have you seen what Mike Bennett's doing? He's challenging Nick Aldis for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, because he actually has a bit of get up and go. It's amazing how many of these guys leave the company and then all of a sudden they have more fire and more passion to create exciting and interesting storylines. It's got nothing to do with being an AEW fan. It's got everything to do with being a fan of freedom of expression, freedom of movement. The biggest problem here is that Vince McMahon is a cunt. It's as simple as that. And Vince McMahon wants complete autonomy over his company. And I understand that to a certain extent. Hell, I run Wrestle Plug. I own Wrestle Plug. I run Wrestle Plug. I do everything. I edit the podcast. I distribute them. I pretty much have full control. And I want to make sure that whatever's put out there, I want to, give it the okay. I'm never going to say to Cole, what? You're going to go on another podcast? Fuck you. Until, I can guarantee a wage or anything like that. Of course not. It's freedom of expression. He can do whatever he wants. I'm pleased when, for instance, Nick Payne was on Hardest Part of the Ring. I think that's thrilling. I know it's a very different kind of story because we're not a paid entity. We're not a business, so to speak. But it's the same principle. The principle is respect your staff. And this just is another reason why wrestling needs to be unionized. But it won't be because all of the people who work for WWE are a bunch of fucking chicken shits. Let's be honest. They're fucking cowards. They're terrified to say, do you know what? If I was, like someone like Roman Reigns, for instance, I'd just kick in Vince's room and go, oh, just so you know, Vince, I'm going to stream the shit out of things tonight. And you're not going to do a damn thing about it. You know why? Because you fire me. Fuck you then. I'm going to go. And if he finds me, I'm going to be like, no, absolutely not. It can't be written into their contracts. It can't be. In which case, at what point do you stop acting like you're somehow an indentured servant to the McMahons? It's pathetic. It is just classic Vince McMahon, and it's classic authority. And the problem is that the majority, I've even seen fans defending it, and do you know what those cunts are? Brainwashed. Those are the kind of people who wake up every day and think, oh yeah, Donald Trump's doing a great job. Oh, Donald Trump's really looking after my kids. Shut up. People like you are fucking embarrassing. You're pathetic. You're the people who like to be you like having your balls stepped on. You like being stepped on a road because you've got no creativity. You've got no spirit. You've got no strength. You've got no fucking unity with your fellow workers. You're the kind of person who sells everybody else so you can get an extra $1 an hour. Well, congratulations. When the system collapses and people like you have to go to food banks to survive because that dictatorship that you thought would fucking benefit you by sucking up for that extra $1 an hour, when they turn on you as well because you are a fucking pissant and a nobody just like everybody else according to them, don't fucking come crying to me about it. I won't have any sympathy for you. It's high time we as a society recognise, because for me what this is this is more than wrestling. This is not just WWE shitting on their fans. This is, for me, or shitting on their employees, excuse me, by proxy the fans as well. This, for me, is systematic of the bigger problem. The bigger problem being that the governments, the people with money, the people with control are abusing the concept of capitalism. They are abusing the concept of power and politics and everything that comes with that, even democracy, to benefit themselves while ensuring that the people below them, the people that they are supposed to be looking after, the people they are supposed to be speaking for and representing, are being burned asunder underneath them and basically dying in poverty, dying in disease, while these people live a glorious life. And it's frankly fucking sickening.